Everyone of a certain age remembers where they were today back in 2001. September 11th is something that unites a generation. We all know where we were and how we found out and what happened. I have several connections to 9/11, and I want to talk about one of them today. I decided here on 50 Plus, I'm James Lott Jr. So I worked at a job that had offices in the towers and in New York. And I also worked at a job where I lost coworkers. So September 11th, when that came around, I was working at a job called Morgan Stanley, and back then it was Morgan Stanley and Dean Witter. I worked at one of their offices in San Francisco. That's where I lived. Now that morning, this was a Tuesday morning, I was going to go to work. I had to go to work early. But for some reason, I was going in later. I switched the shift with somebody else to go in later. We had two shifts, and I was like, "Can I go in later?" I forgot for what is one reason. I forgot what reason it was, whatever. And I was at home in my efficiency apartment in San Francisco, and I was woken by words used, two voicemail messages. Yes, back when they had voicemail on cassettes playing and voicemail. One was my friend Nick, one was my friend Michelle, both my best friends at the time. And they both knew I had folks in New York. I had folks that worked around the World Trade Center. So, because it was really early for us, of course, and normally I was up early, but they knew I wasn't at work. Because they remember calling and said, "We know you're not at work. Have you watched?" I remember one saying, "Have you watched TV? Do you know how your family's doing? What's going on?" And I was like, kind of groggy. I would hear it. I was like, "What are they talking about?" In fact, they both called me back to back. I was like, "Something's up." And I turn on my TV, which is across my bed, the remote, and I see a building on fire. Now, for me, I was watching the night before BBC America. First, I was watching something on there. Maybe it's Doctor Who or something, who knows? But I was watching BBC America. And woke up and went straight to that station. Now, folks, BBC America, BBC and all that, they were showing different things than American television. On that TV, I saw people jumping out of the buildings. I saw a lot of stuff that they didn't show on American TV at first. But I remember turning it on, seeing one of the World Trade Centers on fire, going, "Wait a minute, it's a movie?" Like, but I remember being perplexed. And then I saw the other plane go in as it happened, and I just was in disbelief. Trying to call back east, couldn't reach anybody. Of course, call my mother. We can't reach anybody. Our family's in New York. It's this crazy thing. So it shut down San Francisco because we have the Bay Bridge and the Golden Gate Bridge, which are mine. They weren't sure what was going on. I lived near where I lived. I lived near City Hall, closed our blocked the whole area off. It was crazy. I remember it being a beautiful day. It was even crazier. It was a beautiful day outside. Everything was wonderful. And we're just like, okay, this is crazy. So it was things that I watched all day, all night, the footage. Went to work a couple days later. We were clear to go back to work. Now, this is the part that for me is very just I've never had a job like this before in my life. So I worked as cashier. I worked in cashiering. I worked in the I was a switcher operator. That answered between 1,000 and 1,500 calls a day, just all the time. And I worked the morning shift really early, so I was there when the bell rang when the bell rang in the morning. It's the bell rang in the afternoon, and that's usually when I was off about 1 o'clock. I go in around 5, maybe 1. So we go back there, and of course, we had an office over. I'm looking out here because it was about almost 3,000 employees in the World Trade Center. I'm like, I don't even know what to think because it's like we're all trying to. It was so new and fresh. We're trying to find out who's alive, who's dead, people are missing. I had a personal connection. This person was missing. All this stuff. Getting back to work, and those, I will say, first 2 months at the very least. I mean, it lasted for a while, but first 2 months were the eeriest, strangest months of my life in a job. I used to be a nurse. I worked in ER and stuff, and that's kind of crazy up there. This was very interesting because we had found out at the time that we had lost about 13 employees. We didn't know there could have been more. We weren't sure. Everybody wasn't accounted for at the time. It was still new. Eventually, people started accounting for who they are. But those first couple of days, our office, you could hear a pin drop, which is so sad. We had connections. A couple people who died, I talked to them like the week before. They called. They're like, "Hey, James," they know my voice. My voice was deep. So they're like, "Hey, James." I'm like, "Oh, blah, blah." Gone, just dead. And so, and when I looked at the records here, there were 2,700 employees and 13 passed. And they were in World Trade Center 2. We also got the mail. So I get the mail and see names, they're gone or missing at the time. People were calling because that office is gone. Like the office is gone. That's one of our major offices in New York. It's gone. They're calling me, "Where's my broker? I need to reach my broker. Is my broker alive? Do you know any information?" Like I was like, and I'm a switch operator. I'm like, "Let me pass you on to so and so. Let me pass you on to so and so." I can't reach so. We were so busy, so bogged down. People were crying on the phone to me. I was like I said, seeing mail that I was like, that person's gone. What's the protocol? It was a very somber time. I cried too. I mean, it was really sad. And um there's just like nothing I've ever been through before in my life at a job. We had to redirect people and it was such a weird thing. So I will never forget it just because everybody else can't forget it at that time period. I was 32 years old when it happened. But I just know that having this job was crazy. And I found the other day my Morgan Stanley Dean Witter opener. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Letter opener. I still have it. And like this, they're not even Morgan Stanley Witter anymore, but I have it. And I'm keeping it just because I'm like, it's useful. But also it just reminds me of that time period. I really enjoyed that job. I left later that year, but I really enjoyed that job. I couldn't stand the hours. But I enjoyed the people, the friends, people, and I actually still follow somebody who used to work there online. And also we have for the 20th anniversary a patch, never forget, have that. So I just have that, but just I have a couple of booklets and things from Morgan Stanley Witter that I have somewhere in my house that I have. But it was just, it should be mentioned. The head of security, Rick Rescorla, was the one who got everybody out, except for those 13 people and himself. He didn't make it either. He died during saving people. 9/11 is something that you just will never forget. It's something that still lingers on today. As a fellow New Yorker myself, mixed with being Los Angelian, New Yorkers are resilient. It was such a strange time for them to deal with and to recover from. They were actually attacked, and no matter what political side you fall on, or I know there's lots of conspiracy theories and all this stuff, the fact remains: over what 3,000 people died. The buildings are gone. The skyline was changed forever. It's a lot of human stories I've watched every year and seen that part is the most important. I don't care about all the other stuff. That part's important. And people like us, we lost actually coworkers and friends, colleagues. It was a really, really strange thing. So I just want to share with you guys a little today as we're sitting here observing 9/11, and to anybody who's lost somebody, my heart goes out with you. It never really goes away fully. It's with you the rest of your life. It's part of your life. And anybody who was there and part of it, I'm glad you survived and you're able to tell your stories and still live your fulfilled lives. So thank you very much. This is 50 Plus. I'm James Lott Jr. And I'll talk to you next time.